Mesoamerica is the name of a region between North America and South America. Its absolute location is 16 degrees north and 90 degrees west. A part of this region consists of semi-rainforests and volcanoes such as Piso de Orizaba. The soil there is very fertile, meaning it is good for farming. There is a variety of landforms in Mesoamerica. For example, the Andes Mountains are located along the west coast of this region, and a narrow desert is located directly below it. The Amazon region, home of the largest rainforest on Earth, is located east of the Andes Mountains. As a result, it benefited the people who live there.
The Maya adapted to the Olmec ways in the environment, farming corn and other crops, and using the materials that surrounded them to create the Mayan civilization. They also participated in trade, trading goods such as cloth and obsidian. This civilization was made up of city-states, never becoming an empire. The Maya were polytheistic, worshipping many gods. Some of these gods were Itzamna, the god of creation, and Shak, the Mayan rain god. Their beliefs of creation were written in a book named Popol Vuh. Priests performed sacrifices on their pyramid temples, believing that it will please their gods. Sometimes their sacrifice depended upon an ancient ball game, Pokatok, in which the winning team gained fame and the losing team were granted death. They held religious events at specific times of the year, consulting their 3 different calendars. Though the Maya were united in religion, they were divided by their social classes, from royalty to nobility to commoners and slaves. They all had jobs they had to attain, varying in importance, such as those of a priest, merchant, and slave. They had laws that they had to obey that if everyone against had consequences to coincide. Many factors led to the decline of the Maya in the 900s. How the Maya collapsed is a mystery, but there have been many theories. The Maya experienced many droughts, causing them to have an insufficient amount of food to distribute throughout their city-states. Another would be internal rebellion. The king demanded too much from the people, causing them to rebel or flee their cities.
The Aztec Empire began as a northern tribe of hunter-gatherers who migrated south in the 1100s to central Mexico. They decided to start a settlement there after seeing an eagle perched on a cactus on the land near Lake Texcoco. This will later be Tenochtitlan, the capital city of the Aztec Empire. At its height, which was during the 1400s, the empire reached for more than 80,000 miles and stretched from the Pacific Ocean to the Gulf Coast and from northern Mexico to what is now Guatemala. The Aztecs ruled over 10 million subjects, each city having many different customs. One of the few things they have in common is their language. They all wrote and spoke Nahuatl, which is still used by more than 1 million people in Mexico today. Also, they were all polytheistic. Their religion contained elements of human sacrifice along with a large number of religious festivals and rituals which were held in temples. Some of the gods they worshipped were Tlaloc, the god of rain, and Huitzilopochtli, the god of war and sacrifice. They sacrificed humans, believing that their hearts were the most precious gifts that mere mortals could offer to the gods and that they were helping maintain the universe. In fact, when their warriors were in battle, their goal was not to kill their enemies so they can sacrifice them to their gods. In order to maintain the organization of the Aztec Empire, its citizens were divided into social classes. The Aztec society included kings, nobles, priests, warriors, merchants, artisans, farmers, and slaves. Their occupations were all significant to the formation of the Aztec Empire. For example, priests kept track of calendars and performed rituals while warriors fought to conquer other tribes. Like all the starts, the Aztec Empire came to an end. A Spanish conquistador named Hernán Cortés conducted many attacks against Tenochtitlan with the assistance of some of the Aztecs' conquered tribes. Additionally, the Spaniards introduced smallpox, a sickness to which the Aztecs were familiar with, which killed about a third of the Aztecs' population. Finally, when their ruler, Montezuma, was killed by Cortés's army in 1520, the empire weakened and eventually came to an end in 1521.
As they built their empire, the Incas borrowed knowledge from the civilizations that rose and fell before them. They used the techniques of other societies to benefit their community, such as farming methods, which included irrigation systems. The Incas were also polytheistic. They believed in gods such as Inti the sun god and his wife Mama Kia, the goddess of the moon and marriage and defender of women. In addition, they thought that their Sapa Inca, the king, was part god, and that his main wife was a daughter of the moon. They also believed in the afterlife, so they were very cautious with the mummifying of dead bodies. The Inca didn't really produce a type of writing system and told their history orally. They established the language Quechua to unify their empire. The Inca were divided into two classes, upper class and lower class. The upper class consisted of the king, priests, and nobles, while the lower class included farmers, artisans, and servants. However, none of the Inca citizens were poor. They were all taken care of by the government. The Maya was a labor tax system in which each member of every household in the lower class that ranged from ages 16 to 60 had to pay by working for a certain period of time each year. This system assisted the Inca success by aiding the city's construction and other purposes. The Inca civilization's end was caused by the Spaniards, more specifically a conquistador named Francisco Pizarro. His troops landed on the coast of South America in 1532 in search for gold and other riches. Pizarro took Atahualpa, the Sapa Inca, as captive and demanded the Inca to fill a whole room with riches. Pizarro ended up killing Atahualpa anyway and defeated the Incas in 1537. All of these civilizations had common values which helped them succeed. The Aztec and the Inca all farmed with their own techniques. The Aztecs built little islands called chinampas, while the Incas built terraces called Andes to help them plant crops in steep areas. Also, they both grew similar crops such as corn, beans, and squash. On the other hand, the Aztecs and the Maya were similar because they both created calendars based on the sky and formed a writing system that consisted of pictures and symbols. Finally, both the Maya and the Inca believed that their gods lived in three realms. The Maya, the Aztec, and the Inca also had some things in common with other civilizations on the opposite side of the world. One would be the construction of roads. Just like all three of the Mesoamerican civilizations, the Romans built roads to connect their city centers and for communication.
Moreover, just like the Romans, the Mesoamerican civilizations produced efficient irrigation systems to help them with farming, such as aqueducts and canals. Finally, they were all able to start off from scratch and build great empires that is still remembered to this day.